I'd like to very briefly take you through walk you through actually the larger vision of Digital Fiji, the overarching program that will steadily deliver new cutting-edge technology and development in the digital technology space in Fiji, to Fijians, and also, of course, those visiting our shores. Many of you know that our Honourable Prime Minister is the most accessible Prime Minister we've ever had. We've had people line up outside his office since he became Prime Minister. He's had a high level of engagement, and indeed his level of engagement is not only restricted to, of course, outside his office, but also throughout Fiji. Of course, this is one way of keeping our ears to the ground and knowing exactly what Fijians are actually thinking and getting the input. We're now moving on to another stage, next stage, and that is actually using technology and giving technology access to those Fijians who want to access the government services, who want to access the various permanent secretaries, various ministers, and of course, indeed, the Prime Minister's office. The idea is to bring Fijians, their concerns and their ideas to the forefront of our development. In that way, this program will grow to become a pillar in our democracy, a bridge between Fijians and their government, and the information and services that can affect a real change that makes positive changes and differences to the actual everyday lives. Digital Fiji, Honourable Prime Minister, is the digitization of government services. That is a goal we've had in mind for some time as part of our long-standing commitment to make government services more transparent and accountable, as the Solicitor General stated. We're harnessing technology to enable Fijians to see exactly how their government is working for them to contact ministers, permanent secretaries, and other civil servants. They, of course, will consequently then help shape policies and indeed have input. For example, at the moment, we have consultations on the budget, upcoming budget. We'll have consultations, various other programs and projects of government throughout. This will actually give them a very easy tool. On that note, of course, as highlighted by the Honourable Prime Minister, we have now more Fijians with more mobile phones than ever before. 95% of Fiji is actually covered through the network coverage of the 2 mobile phone companies. We have more SIM cards in operation than actual people in Fiji. Of course, some people keep more than one SIM card. But the fact of the matter is that through internet penetration, through the advent of 4G, and of course, the various other programs that government is actually embarking upon through, for example, Voreqe and various other platforms, we'll be able to give people more access to technology, and indeed more services need to be made available through that. The reality, of course, is that we need an enabling environment. And the enabling environment, of course, is provided through by our Constitution. The Constitution makes it mandatory upon government to ensure that people have the access to information, have a right to access to information, have a right to be able to correct information about themselves personally. So Parliament, as we're pleased to know, has in fact, of course, approved the Information Act of 2018. And of course, in the budget, we need to be able to provide the various resources to that to ensure that the commission that will manage it will have the ability to be able to give people that information, to be able to correct that information. But for them to be able to do that, we need the technology. But for them to be able to do that, we need the civil servants, the permanent secretaries, and everybody else to be on the same page. This is why, as part of Digital Fiji program, we now will have a chief information officer in every single ministry, and their work will be to ensure that all information regarding that particular ministry and all the departments in the ministry is up to date. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the Digital Fiji apps that will be rolled out today is highlighted by the Honourable Prime Minister and, of course, the CEO. One is, of course, My Feedback Portal, and the other is Directory-At-Gov. The app is currently available on Android, and in a couple of weeks' time, it will be available on those of you who have iPhones. Of course, as you know, that Android is a lot better than iPhones. Honourable Prime Minister, is no bias. Ladies and gentlemen, also what we've got in respect of this feedback is that we'll be able to again revolutionize the ways that we've got people accessing information. We have, through the Universal Service Access Fund, a fund that is collected by the Telecommunication Authority of Fiji, the ability to invest in areas that are remote, where mobile phone companies do not necessarily want to go in because they do not have the economies of scale. And you'll see that rolled out in the next few months. So you may have some remote village or some area, farming area in a gully where the reception is not possible. We'll be setting up towers to ensure that that reception will be received, and therefore everybody will be connected. As you know, also government in the 2017-2018 budget borrowed money from the World Bank to be able to connect Viti Levu to Vanuatu through a submarine cable. And as we know, in the next few weeks, that again will be launched. This will mean that people in Vanuatu will be automatically overnight be able to increase or have access to increased speeds of over 100% as far as internet is concerned. It means there's opportunities for people in Vanuatu to be able to access information from their government, to be able to set up call centers. So all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is part and parcel of a broader plan that we have to be able to connect Fijians, to be able to give them access to technology in a very meaningful and tangible manner. In the next few weeks, of course, we hope to roll out various other new apps as highlighted through the Fiji Revenue and Customs Services, the Fiji National Provident Fund, BDM, and indeed the Companies Office. We've of course already made the expansion of essential services a critical pillar of Fiji's development, both through a 5-year and 20-year development plan, whether it's legal aid officers, healthcare, births, deaths, marriage services, education, or social welfare. We're giving Fijians in urban, rural, and maritime areas alike new levels of access to the services they need in their day-to-day lives. I'm also happy to announce, ladies and gentlemen, that the Ministry of Economy has now launched its e-tender, online e-tender process. So henceforth now, no tenders will be physically received. And you can go to www.tenderlink.com/economy-fiji/. So all tenders now will be received through that. This of course creates a lot more transparency, and I urge all the other government-related agencies to also adopt this. This removes corruption. It removes arguments about whether I came and dropped in my tender at 1 minute past 4 or 1 minute before 4. It also means there's no interventions. It will also mean that those who actually want to tender will be able to have a list of the entire list of information that's available pertaining to that particular project. And you can even go now to the portal and be able to see all the list of all the government tenders that are currently available. It gives you a smorgasbord of opportunity, not just for Fijians here or businesses here, but also we want to be able to tap in to other service providers and indeed those vendors who can offer the services who are offshore too. And indeed, hopefully, get some collaboration between Fijian businesses and also businesses offshore. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to, Honourable Prime Minister, through you, welcome the young people who are here today. Many of whom are actually enrolled in the ICT studies at the Fiji National University, the University of Fiji, and of course USP. We've invited the students here, Honourable Prime Minister, because the Digital Fiji program is going to transform the field in which they plan to enter, and we want them to have a front row seat to the action. As young people, this field is full of exciting opportunities, high-paying jobs, and real chances for you to innovate in the Fijian ICT sector. And Digital Fiji is going to put the Fijian government at the forefront of digital trends and development and create more even highly skilled jobs within government as the program expands, because we need people to look after this. We need, of course, Fijians to be able to tap into the wonderful expertise that the Singaporeans are bringing to us. They'll pass that information to you, and of course, in order to have sustainability of these programs, we need Fijians to actually be trained in this, and of course, to run this entire program for us. Ladies and gentlemen, also, as you know, that in the last decade or so, we've seen an explosion in the ICT sector in Fijian. I quite remember in 2007, 2008, when the Honourable Prime Minister directed us to go, through the assistance of the World Bank negotiators, negotiate with the then ICT providers who held exclusivities. So we had Vodafone had exclusivity, TFL had exclusivity, and Cable and Wireless or Fintel had exclusivity. And our goal was to actually open up the market. And I quite specifically remember when after the first day the negotiations did not work out, the Honourable Prime Minister said to us, stay there until you get a resolution. 3 days later, we had the Radisson Accord, because we actually had the negotiations at the Radisson Hotel. The Radisson Accord, many people probably underplay the significance of it, actually helped pave the way of opening up the ICT sector. It allowed for competition. Digicel came into the market, and various other providers came into the market. As a result of that, we've seen more investment in infrastructure. As a result of that, we've seen more services in the ICT sector. And as a result of that, of course, we've seen the cost of using those services diminish significantly. For the young people over here, prior to the removal of the exclusivity, or what we call the liberalization of the telecom sector, a unit cost of a mobile phone at peak period is about 99 cents a unit. Today, it's about 22, 23 cents and even less than that. So you can see the cost of business has actually come down. What we are doing now through this program is again reducing the cost of business, but also giving businesses accessibility to that with greater technology. As part of this program also, SCE will also help the Fijian government to help improve our status in the ease of doing business as ranked by the World Bank. Honorable Prime Minister, we've also, through the SCC, we've looked at various other programs where SCC can actually help us in respect of, for example, planning our cities, improving ease of business, as I've said, and also creating, for example, looking at various real estate that's owned by government and how we can improve our asset base. So, for example, in a city like Lautoka, we have vast areas of government assets where only you may have, in fact, 1 acre of land on which you have one government quarters sitting on it. So how do we maximize the usage of it? Through giving people access to housing. And also we have, for example, police officers living in accommodation, in a very old style accommodation. How can we improve home ownership? And we are very keen to work with the SCE. And they've got planners, they've got architects who've been working in that field for decades. And we are hoping that the Singaporean architect will be in Fiji in the next couple of months to be able to help us negotiate that space and how we can provide better returns, not only for government, but also to give accessibility to ordinary Fijians as far as real estate is concerned, as far as housing is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, much of our progress in Fiji has already been driven by the ideas, feedback, and will of ordinary people. The platforms that we're launching today, of course, has had feedback on a number of weeks of trial. We now, as a result of that, will have a more inclusive future, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.